Good morning, everybody. Sorry about here today. I look like Wild Willie. Okay, so I have my assistant with me today. He is hard at it. Actually, he's a pretty active guy, but I can't get a decent picture of him um, out and about because he's either sleeping or he's not standing still. So one of these days I'll get a good picture of him. Doesn't he look sweet and innocent? Okay, let's see. Today's Bible study day at Ashboro. It is also shut in calls and communion. So I will be making the rounds at the hospital. And anyway, like his honor. Miss Gail. Raspberries to you, young lady. Takes one to know one, maybe. Okay, so what have we got going here? We have, I guess that's it, Bible study. And, yep, choir is, I'm still a little confused. I think choir's out for the summer, but they still dress and lead worship, which is cool. I'm just kind of shocked sometimes because it sort of gets past me, but I'm okay. I'm flexible. It doesn't involve any, like me jumping out of an air balloon or something. So I'm good. I'm just getting used to the rhythms and the fact that I have a lot of beach babies. Okay, daily text. Psalm 8:6. You have given humans dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet. Okay. So, what this means is we're stewards. It's all God's. We're just responsible for the little pat she gives us. How you doing with that? Stewardship is sometimes kind of tricky, okay? Because it involves acknowledging the fact that it's God's, but we're still responsible for it. And that's a good thing. Um, if you understand agriculture, it's a little easier. But even people that have never lived in the country can grasp this idea that I'm a caretaker of the resources that I have. I'm not an owner. Okay. And God can take it back anytime he wants because it's his. All right. The good news is he doesn't act like a spoiled child and just takes it out of sheer meanness. All right. 1 Corinthians 6:12. All things are permitted for me, not all things are beneficial. All things are permitted for me, but I will not be dominated by anything. Okay. Um, Riding roller coasters is okay. I choose not to. Okay. Um, this goes along with that all things in moderation stuff, but it's kind of like, yeah, I almost anything is fair game. All right. we're individuals and we are attracted to different things. Okay, I prefer horses and dogs over cats. Cats are fine. I just don't get as big a thrill out of them as I do dogs and horses. Okay. Um, Motorcycles are cool, but I choose not to own one. Certain cuisines are okay, but I don't want to eat them every day. Um, all right, let's. Pizza is okay, but not in excess. So, same thing with, okay, cigars. Cigars are permissible, but they shouldn't be an obsession. Okay? Shouldn't be an obsession. They make us individuals because we all have preferences, likes and dislikes, but the minute it becomes an obsession, it becomes an idol. And that's what Paul's getting at. But let's pray. Freedom is so wonderful, Lord. Freedom that reaches its height in Christ-like living. Correct me when I seek to put my will before yours, when I look to make myself a petty false god. Thank you for the gifts you have given me. May they be used to advance your kingdom on earth. Okay. It's a matter of perspective. Um, if something starts to dominate, it's in danger of becoming an idol. And if it's heading that way, we have already set ourselves up as an idol. There's a lot of self-worship going on out there in the world, okay? And we're all kind of guilty of it, all right? Which is kind of sad, because if we go with the whole stewardship thing, then God is who we should be worshiping. See, when you start worshiping stuff, it starts getting in the way of things. All right. Okay. C.S. Lewis. An idea why heaven is always up. It is not an accident that simple-minded people, however spiritual, should blend the ideas of God and heaven and the blue sky. It is a fact, not a fiction, that light and light-giving heat do come down from the sky to earth. The analogy of the sky's role in begetting and the earth's role to bearing is sound as far as it goes. The huge dome of the sky is of all things sensuously perceived the most like infinity. And when God made space in the worlds that move in space and clothed our world with air and gave us such eyes and such imaginations as those we have, he knew what the sky would mean to us. And since nothing in his world is accidental, if he knew, he intended. We cannot be certain that this was not indeed one of the chief purposes for which nature was created. Still less, that it was not one of the chief reasons why the withdrawal was allowed to affect human senses as a movement upwards. A disappearance into the earth would beget a wholly different religion. The ancients, in letting the spiritual symbolism of the sky flow straight into their minds without stopping to discover by analysis that it was a symbol, were not merely entirely mistaken. In one way, they were perhaps less mistaken than we. Okay. Why is heaven always up? Well, because blue seems to be a dominant color in the visions of heaven. Every Old Testament vision of God or heaven is from an up coming down or down going up experience. Light is by far the first and foremost of God's creation. And Jesus and the prophets and the apostles talk about light revealing, light giving. We always equate light with insight. Everything about it is positive, okay? And there's always this upward kind of a thing going on. So while the ancients worshiped the sun and the stars and the moon, that's what Lewis is getting at. That not that worshiping created things is healthy or good or right, but this whole idea of up, ascending to God is an important theological concept. He just took 3 paragraphs to say it, okay? Apparently in the 50s, people had a lot more time. All right. Alrighty, Aslan. This is from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But at last, Lucy noticed 2 other things. One was that the sky on the east side of the hill was a little less dark than it had been an hour ago. The other was some tiny movement going on in the grass at her feet. At first, she took no interest in this. What did it matter? Nothing mattered now. But at last she saw that whatever it was had begun to move up the upright stones of the stone table. And now, whatever they were moving about on Aslan's body. She peered closer. They were little gray things. Ugh, said Susan from the other side of the table. How beastly. These are horrid little mice crawling over him. Go away, you little beasts. And she raised her hand to frighten them away. Wait, said Lucy, who had been looking down at them more closely still. Can't you see what they're doing? Both girls bent down and stared. I do believe, said Susan, but how queer. They're nibbling away at the cords. That's what I thought, said Lucy. I think they're friendly mice. Poor little things. They don't even realize he's dead. They think it'll do some good untying him. It was quite definitely lighter by now. Each of the girls noticed for the first time the white face of the other. They could see the mice nibbling away, dozens and dozens, even hundreds of little field mice. And at last, one by one, the ropes were all gnawed through. In the wood behind them, a bird gave a chuckling sound. It had been so still for hours and hours that it startled them. Then another bird answered it. Soon there were birds singing all over the place. It was quite definitely early morning now, not late night. Okay, question. When have you jumped to conclusions only to realize that what you had thought was horrifying was actually helpful? And the saying is, the only exercise some people get is jumping to conclusions. Okay. So we've all done this. Okay. We think something is a threat when it's not. We look at first something is perceived as being bad when actually it's pretty good. Okay. we experience this stuff because we have limited perception. All right. It shocks us. It's, when this kind of stuff happens, it's a surprise, a pleasant surprise, but it's also disconcerting because our initial evaluation is what we want to go with. Okay? That's why first impressions are so terribly important. Okay. I've gotten kind of sloppy about first impressions. I'm sort of like, this is it. Sorry, But in a way, I'm almost more conscious of first impressions. And I try not to let my first impression be focused solely on negativity, or I'm not saying it right. I still try to make a good first impression, but I don't go out of my way to overdo it, like putting on a persona that's not me. I try to remain as natural as I can. By the same token, I evaluate new situations, meeting new people and stuff, so that I don't feel prejudiced. And if I'm getting a negative first impression, then I try to figure out if it's something in me reacting to something that's really not a negative, or is it truly, true that I have every right to be cautious. Now, what does that have to do with the Aslan thing? Obviously, the Chronicles of Narnia are an allegory, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is an allegory of the Gospels. So Aslan has been killed, crucified, if you will, and now the creatures are doing what Nicodemus did, and that is claim the body and give it a dignified end. So, and that's where we get into the theological part, where the death of Christ seems like a horrible negative. Life cut short, gruesome death, didn't go well, didn't end well. But if you stop there, it's very despair-inducing. You have to look at the whole thing. The death was necessary so that you and I could have life. Okay. Substitutionary atonement. All right. We haven't done the Pilgrim's Prayer in a while. I am not in control. I am not in a hurry. I walk in faith and hope. I greet everyone with peace, and I bring back only what God gives me. Amen. All right. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you later.